Christy Mattoon here. I'm super excited to be with you. I'm just checking all my other cameras here. I'm trying to multitask this morning, so I'm kind of proud of myself, but I'm a little bit nervous, see if we can actually get this right. So far, everything looks pretty good, so we're just going to go ahead and go, and we'll just see what happens. Today, actually, what I want to talk about is fat versus inflammation. So, from a different kind of idea than just energy healing or energy psychology, I want to talk more about the physicality of healing and where you're at maybe in your process. I've been getting a lot of questions lately about nutrition and about food and about how to eat and how all this fits together. I did want to show you that I do have my book out in Amazon now. Yay! So you can go grab this. It's in Amazon. It'll be in Kindle form and in paperback, right? Probably after Tuesday. So you can go in there and just look me up and grab it in there. The subtitle does read something different than what this one does, but it looks basically the same. You should be able to find it pretty easy. And so today we are going to talk about fat and inflammation versus inflammation. What's the difference and how can you kind of know? So I'm going to tell you a little bit of my story and then we'll go right into this. I was got up one morning and I walked into the bathroom, and of course you have your bathroom scale. So I jump on my scale and I remember standing there looking down in between my feet, and I hope those things don't show up on here, and see the number 300. And I'm just standing there looking, and I'm like, 300, 300, 300. I'm like, 300 pounds? I'm 300 pounds? How does this happen? And that's really my question, is how does this happen? How does this happen? And over in my head, and then it was doctors, and it was, all these things I did trying to resolve the problem. The one thing that was really consistent going from person to person and place to place and thing to thing was diet and exercise. These are the two things you have to do in order to beat a weight issue. And so, diet and exercise, for the people who know me and who watch some of my journey, I diet and exercise myself into really super good shape, actually, and it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. I enjoy it to this day. I actually became a personal trainer for a while because of it. And what I found out in that process, I had gotten to a point where I was quite a bit of muscle. I had really low body fat. I was down around probably 24%, which was really good for a female my age in menopause. That was pretty impressive, especially with all the autoimmune issues and struggles I had going on. That was actually really impressive. So I'm exercising, doing my thing one day. I was still struggling with adrenaline and fatigue and things like that. My adrenaline system was pretty drained. And I remember walking into the gym one day, and I walked up to my trainer and I was like, what the heck is wrong with my skin? Like, I felt like a water balloon. It was so weird feeling. And I was just like, what is this? And he's looking at me like I'm a nut, which I think I may have led him to believe that a few times anyway. But I could feel like one day I did not feel like this, and the next day I did. And when I woke up this particular morning, it felt horrible. Like I felt like a water balloon all over my whole body. I couldn't figure it out for the longest time. And so I just really tightened up my eating again. I got back on the AIP thing. I really cut out, the sugars. I cut out all the stuff you're supposed to cut out. And still this problem persists. And actually, to this day, this problem persists. I went into a doctor, one of the last doctors, medical doctors I ever saw, or traditional medical doctors I ever saw, I should say. I walked into her office. She was an endo specialist and had just gotten all this blood work back. She had done bone scans, like all kinds of stuff, bone density, all this stuff. And she's like, everything is normal. Like, this looks great. Whatever you're doing a really good job. And I was like, yes, like high five. It was all wonderful. And I was like, well, like I'll probably never see you again. And she just kind of looked at me and she's like, oh, honey, this won't last. Yes, you will. And I just remember standing there going, wow, really? And totally in my head, I automatically, just because what I know of energy and energy psychology at that point, even then I was like, I rebuke and reject every word out of your mouth right now. I'm not going to own any of that. I'm not going to take any of that on. My blood panels are normal right now. I'm just going to hold on to that. So whatever I was doing that was keeping it right had a lot to do with the way I was eating. It had a lot to do with the way I was thinking. But my question remained the same. What is it that's causing the pockets of inflammation in my body? I'm not eating wrong. I'm doing all the thought work I'm supposed to be doing, all the meditation, all that good kind of stuff. I'm really working on this hard. And still I'm getting these weird swelling pockets. What is this? So one day I'm in a meeting. I was actually at a conference of sorts, and it was supposed to be a business conference. And the guy that was running this business conference, actually his name is Ed Rush, and I still work with this guy. And during a conversation we were having, he actually was doing his class, and he had done something talking to somebody during the course of this thing. And he's like, if you have anything you need prayed over, let me know. I'll be in the back of the room. I was like, wow, really? So I thought, okay, Mr. Prayer, let's go. I'm going to give it to you. And I walked up to him and I just said, I have this pocket of swelling in my back that has been there persistently for a very long time. I don't really, like at this point, know what it is. I've been told autoimmune issues. It's something I'm eating. I've got some kind of allergy to something, and that's just the weak link in my body. So that's where it keeps collecting, which I'm like, okay, I can buy that. Right? So it wasn't, we'll get back to the fat versus inflammation in a second, but this was definitely inflammation because I had lost all my weight at this point. And so he started doing his prayer thing, and he looks at me and he goes, take off your backpack. I wasn't wearing a backpack. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, take off your backpack. He goes, whatever you're carrying in that backpack is what is keeping that swelling on your body. And at the time, I had thought it related to some ongoing issues, some things that are just going on in my life with some kids and some people. And I was like, all right, well, let's take the backpack off. We'll just put that down. And oddly enough, the inflammation went away like that. And I was like, okay, that was cool. Like, I like a good prayer. I'm a prayer warrior. Totally would not have walked up to him if I didn't think he wasn't going to come up with something. So I was pretty excited, and I was like, all right. So I go on a few weeks, still good, everything's fine as long as I left that backpack off. If I went back into the issues, back into the emotional stress that I had been putting myself under, that would come back on me. So I kept thinking about it, and I was thinking about this again last night. I'm like, what the heck is that? Because I'm feeling it again in my body. And I'm like, huh. So I had tried to make a phone call yesterday, and I think that's what brought the inflammation back. Was I was opening up a chapter and trying to go into it, and my body responded. So what is the inflammation coming from? It's coming from the cortisol that I'm releasing into my system, and it's telling my body, hey, something is about to happen. My body automatically just goes into stress response. It goes straight into a fight with itself, that there's a foreign invader. It needs to start attacking something, right? So it's this pocket in my back that starts swelling up. It used to be my thyroid with Hashimoto's, right? So my body was just train wreck what I did to it. But so knowing that, I immediately did some work surrounding the issue that I had just caused by trying to make this phone call. And I took care of it, and now the swelling's gone again, and I feel totally fine. It's amazing to me. I'm just like, okay, that's interesting. So get rid of the cortisol, get rid of the stress, stop the adrenaline pumping into your system, and guess what happens? Whether it's a long time ago issue, so say it's an issue from maybe your childhood or a super long time ago, or maybe it's an issue from yesterday. If you know how to stop the stress in your system, the inflammation is going to calm down, your system's going to calm down, the fight and flight response is going to calm down. My guess is you're probably going to be fine. Sometimes you have to really sit in it for a little bit. It didn't take 1 minute to cause your problem. Maybe it will, maybe it won't take 1 minute to solve it. Like, I don't know. Do you get the miracle? So I'm always waiting for the miracle. That's my big deal. I love it when the miracle happens. I see it often, so it's really super fun to me. So think about for a second, at the heaviest I was, 300 pounds, I'm standing there staring at the scale, and these doctors are all telling me diet, exercise. I actually saw a doctor for a few minutes that was a protein, so he threw me into a ketosis, basically, into a ketone diet, a total liquid protein, horrifying. It was a mess in my system. I think ketone diets, actually going into ketosis, can do some really good things for you if done properly and monitored. This wasn't, so it was bad. Made me super sick, caused a lot more issues in my body. But what I found out since then is the weight was coming off. It wasn't all fat. A lot of my weight, and I have no way of knowing how much, like percentage-wise, wasn't fat. It was inflammation. So as the fluid was draining out of my body, as I was burning the fat out of my body, because there was plenty of that too, I assure you, at 300 pounds, something was going on that kept me ballooning back up. This happens to us all the time as people fighting autoimmune issues. And we're always standing around going, why can't I lose the weight? Why can't I lose the weight? And you go, exercise and exercise. And you throw yourself into a state of adrenal fatigue. And then what happens is over time, that part of your body starts wearing out and you end up with huge problems. If it's not fat and it is inflammation, exercise isn't going to help. Probably only going to make it. So you have to find this really good balance between the two. What do I need to do to take care of the fat issue if that's part of the problem? And if it's just inflammation, what do I need to do to take care of that part of the problem? So a lot of times as fat people, and I hate to be saying it that way, but that's how I looked at myself. As a fat person, it wasn't just fat. As the fat started melting off and I saw huge differences, what was left over was inflammation. And if I did something wrong in my diet or in my life that stressed my body out, guess what would come back? It shows up on the scale in a number, and then you stand there looking at it going, why am I gaining weight? It's not always a fat issue. Sometimes it's inflammation. And so getting rid of that is, use your mantras, use your whole brain state, and, beyond mantras, right? You have to really get into yourself and find out, why is my body stressing out? What did I just do that caused this stress? And what do I do to release it? That's where Mind Rewire helps, releasing subconscious blockages. And even the subconscious stuff you're just starting to create. Whatever you did yesterday, did you release it? Have you let it go? Because if you haven't, it's going to come back in the form of stress, a chronic issue, a problem. I was talking to somebody about this yesterday, actually, some stuff that she was going through. And I was like, what are you doing to release that? And if you don't, what's it going to look like 30 years down the road? Because at the age you're at right now, you're just now getting rid of a bunch of stuff that happened to you 30 years ago. Right? And so you're feeling the difference there, but if you don't let this go right now today, what's going to happen in 30 years from now? So you got to keep it going the right direction once you've got it going the right direction. I think that's it for the day. So that is my thoughts on fat and inflammation, how you can get rid of them, what the difference is, and how you can know. This is Mind Rewire. My name is Christy Mattoon. If this stuff is helping you, go ahead and subscribe and like and hit the bell, ding the thing, do whatever you do on all these different platforms. And if you have questions, please ask. Always post a comment somewhere. I do have a Facebook page also. And for the Facebook people, I have a YouTube page. So go check me out there. There's videos in both places that aren't in either one of the other, so you can see different things. And if you just have questions, you can email me at christy@mindrewire.com. I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to answer your questions. And I've been staring at this camera over here the whole time, so I'll stare over here at you guys for a few minutes. Thank you for being here, and we'll talk to you again soon. And have a happy Easter. Today's Easter. Oh, and it's April Fool's, so it's a little of both today. What a weird day. Anyway, blessings and peace.